press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Welcome back, dear students. So we were discussing about confronting marginalization. So in the previous class we did discuss why this marginalization has come into existence and even how that has been confronted by these people. So how they are questioning the government, asking for new laws because their rights are violated. So today let us know about the promotion of social justice. So as in the previous class itself we did discuss certain things, that is, see, to prevent the justice, like to make justice, okay, social justice, to bring the social justice among these marginalized people, they came with a new concept or say scheme, that is reservation. So with this reservation, they thought like there would be certain changes. Okay, so yes, definitely there are certain changes, no doubt. But yes, how does this work actually, the reservation? So let us know about those reservations actually here. So how it works. So the government across India, they have their own list of scheduled tribes and castes. Okay, like all the lists they are having, both the state government and the central government. So when it comes to these lists, what they do, the students who are applying, okay, for the exams or even for the employment and all, so what they do, they check those people, like whether they come under that category, are they fulfilling all the eligibility criteria. With that, they have to give the certificate related to the backward class. So both, like they have to carry this proof of their caste when it comes to employment or even for the exams. Okay, like if they are claiming any of the seats, okay, as a this particular person, like as they come under reservation, if they are trying to take any of the seats, then definitely they have to prove that they are really from that particular caste and they are carrying the caste certificate. So if a particular Dalit caste or a certain tribe is on the government list, then a candidate from that caste or tribe can avail that particular benefit of reservation. So they have to produce these caste certificate. Okay, that reservation will be definitely done. Few seats will be reserved only for the sake of SC, STs and even the backward classes, and even for the exams and all. See, during exams, like for example, now we are having SET exam, NET exam, or even like other exams, government exams, even for them, the marks, the cutoff marks will be mentioned for each and every category, that is differently, they'll be mentioning that. Okay, so when it comes to admission to colleges, that is especially in the institution of professional education, or like for example medical colleges or any governmental colleges which is defined, they are having this cutoff marks. Okay, they'll give you the cutoff percentage there. So the person has to reach that particular percentage. If that person has crossed, okay, he or she has scored that much of marks, definitely with the production of with the production of the particular certificate, they can get the seats. So when it comes to these things, yes, governments also offer special scholarship for these students. Okay, they actually offer some special scholarships for all the students who come under these category. Okay, they are getting all the scholarship. Okay, because see, what happens when people start feeling that yes, they are marginalized, they are not being treated equally, they are not given any importance and all, what happens, we have to concentrate on those people so that even they do join the hands for the improvement or the development of the society. So because each and every person is important when it comes to the society, so that's the reason they have to join hands, and even if we have to bring them to the line, they have to get some benefits, right? So that's the reason even reservation benefits are given, because they were treated very badly in earlier days, as you have come across the story of B.R. Ambedkar, the best example, and even you might have heard about Kabir, right? You might have heard even about the Chokha Mela, the previous class we did discuss. So all these people belong to some backward class itself, so they were treated very badly. And even in the previous chapter we did discuss about a story there, right, related to these people, how they were treated. So this can be considered here. So that's the reason giving them good rights, and even, you know, like if given importance, definitely they would work very well. So here, you know, Kabir, you might have heard about Kabir Das, right? So he has come up with poems which is related to this, wherein he, in his view, what he tells, every person had the ability to reach the highest level of spiritual level or salvation and deep knowledge within themselves through their own experience. So he is telling the same thing. Each and every person is made up of the, like, you know, the bones and the skin. So what is the difference? Why is that people are making these differences? Why is that they are, you know, having this mindset of untouchability, etc., etc. So that is the reason, like, you know, they have come up with, he has come up with the poem here. Now let us know the protecting the rights of Dalits and Adivasis, how the rights are protected when it comes to the Dalits and Adivasis. Let us know about that thing. See here, in addition to the policies that has been come up, okay, there are certain specific laws which is guarded, okay, against the discrimination and even exploitation of the marginalized communities. Now let us know about a story here. There is a village called Jakmaglur, okay, wherein it gets up a very big festival here, okay, it gets a very big festival. So it is held once in 5 years with the, wherein the local deity is prayed, okay. You might have, you know this Dugama Jatre, right? Davangere people, they know this Dugama Jatre, Harireshwara Jatre. So once in 2 years, once in 3 years, they are having the the permission to celebrate this particular festival. In the same way, here also in Jakmaglur, they had or they used to always have this festival, and wherein, you know, like villages came, okay, like they come for this 5-day event. So all the villagers, villagers, okay, they used to come to celebrate this particular festival. So what actually this festival was all about? It was related to the 20 neighboring villages, all the village people, okay, they used to join hands to celebrate the festival. Okay, they used to come together to join hands and, you know, enjoy the festival for themselves. So the ceremony would begin with the member here, okay, of the Dalit community. What happened, you know, like from very paramparangatavagi athwa tumba hale idrinda anta helteve, ancestral. From that time, certain things came into existence. What exactly they used to do? From a family, particular family, from their grandfather, great-grandfather, grandfather, father, you know, what they had here, the ceremony would happen like this, wherein the Dalit community, they would wash the feet of few of the priests, okay? ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪ್ರೀಸ್ಟ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಕಾಲನ್ನು ತೊಳಿಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ನೋ ಲೈಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ that was used to clean up their feet, they would take that water and they had to take a bath. Literally they had to take bath out of that water. Imagine, we don't even like to touch the person who, like, it's not about touching, like we do not use the water who has already taken bath or who has already washed his feet with, we do not even touch, okay. Imagine a person is asked to take bath out of that water. How would that person feel? So this was actually the thing, and this was taken by a particular family belonged to this Dalit group, that is Ratnam family, okay. So his father, grandfather and all, they had to do this, and now they were allowed to enter the temple. The ritual was viewed as a great honor, okay, that was a great honor for the Dalits, okay, yes. So on this special occasion, now it was Ratnam's turn, because his father was, maybe he was not allowed to do that. So it was Ratnam who was supposed to do this. Nothing but he had to wash the feet of all the 20 priests, and whatever water he would get, all the priests, okay, those who had come there. So with that water he was supposed to take bath. Imagine, Ratnam, he was an engineering student, okay, and he totally refused, because the person who is totally educated, who knows what actually is right, what actually is wrong, who can differentiate between what is correct and what is wrong, he will never accept such things, right? Yes, one such person was Ratnam. So he said that he doesn't want to do this. He doesn't believe all these things. He doesn't want to do this, and he asked his parents, like those who forced him, he told them, even all the category, like the people who belong to that category, even they asked him to perform that, because they knew that the powerful caste people would again dominate over these people. That's the reason he was like, I will not do this. Okay, I'm not supposed to do this. I will not do this because I'm educated. I know very well what exactly has to be done. So this was his contention. So he said that he had no faith in this practice. So Ratnam's refusal angered all the people here, especially the powerful caste, and these caste, like the powerful caste, were shocked. And they were like, how this young boy has got such a gut to speak against us, who can go against our rituals. So this was the question. So they believed that Ratnam's education itself has made him this, because till day Ratnam's family never had any problem, and they used to always follow this rules and regulation. And all of a sudden, because Ratnam is rejecting to do these things, they were in a question mark. So they were totally in a dilemma, saying that like, why this person is doing this, so how dare he does that. So this was again a question. So now from Ratnam's own caste, even they were very they were not supporting him. From Ratnam's caste, those people were also not supporting for whatever he had done, because they were they had the fear of getting this, like the powerful caste would dominate them. They had this in their mind, and they did not support Ratnam. So even the dominant caste decided not to call them for any of the event. So what happened? See, all these Dalits and all, they were depending upon other person for their daily livelihood, right? So daily wages and all. So because Ratnam rejected, now they were having a question. How, whether they will call us or no, whether we will be getting job or no, whether we'll be removed. So all these things, these fear were there with these people. So Ratnam argued that not a single Dalit had ever entered the temple. So how could the deity? So even they added, if you do not do this ritual, definitely the deity, nothing but the God, will get angry. So he questioned, why will God get angry? Because till day no person is allowed from our community to enter the temple. So how is that, God will get angry? So forget about it, because he is educated, he knows everything. So the powerful caste decided to remove, teach Ratnam a lesson. So they ordered that the community to ostracize him and his family, and everyone was told no one should speak or do any work for them. Okay, nothing but the Ratnam family was thrown out. No person should contact them. No person should have any, they should not have any conversation with them. They should not get done any of the work. So one night some men entered their part of the village and set it on fire. So however, Ratnam could manage to escape with his mother, and then he filed a case in the police station under the Scheduled Caste and Tribes, Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989, and even he got all the journalists to speak with, and the case was picked up by the local media, and Ratnam was written about a symbol of Dalits' action. So he was considered there because he approached law. He wanted to go everything as a legal person. He wanted to accept everything and go legally. That's the reason he went and filed the case there. So he did complain. So the ritual was called off, nothing but the ritual was totally stopped because of this itself. But his family was forced to stay out of the village by the powerful caste. No doubt the ritual came to an end. Okay, no other person would follow it. Okay, the ritual totally was stopped. But Ratnam's family was kept totally out of the village. He was never allowed to enter the village. No doubt the old style wherein the ritual was followed, saying that yes, the Ratnam family, they were asked to wash the feet of all the priests and use that water to take bath. So that ritual totally was stopped, but he was not allowed to enter. Now let us know about the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. What exactly it means? See, this act was framed in the year 1989 for the response, that is for the demand done by the people, that is Dalit, okay, and other the others that the government must take seriously, because this ill treatment, the way they are treated, the inequality that is shown, somewhere it has to stop, right? That's the reason they questioned, they sincerely asked the government to frame certain laws. So while such treatment were persisted for a very long time, they came up with, in the year 1980s till 1970s and 80s, it was very much. So during this period, especially in the southern India, a number of assertive Dalit groups came into being and asserted their rights. They refused to perform their so-called caste duties. So it was always considered that all the cleaning work, okay, were supposed to be done by these people. They started, they felt that it was humiliation, and even they considered it to be exploitation of Dalits, and they refused it. Now the powerful caste, they dominated these people, okay. They even did unleash, totally into violence, okay. So in order to indicate the government regarding the untouchability, it was still being practiced in most of the areas. Even now in the North India, few of the states do have this untouchability. Okay, yes. However, in Karnataka we do not find it. Okay, people are safe here. So Dalit groups demanded new laws that would list the various sorts of violence. So they came up. Dalits did make a note of each and everything that were faced by these people. Obviously, because when at one particular time in the constitution you tell that you have given all the rights, and from other way you are dominating us. So where is the protection? Where is that our rights are protected? So this is what the question is. So throughout the 1970s and even 80s, Adivasi people successfully organized themselves and demanded equal right for their land and resources to be returned to them. So as you all know, few of the people were totally removed from the place where they were already dwelling, right? In the previous chapter we have already discussed about this marginalization, wherein grandfather, you have heard about the story of that grandfather, right, wherein he was totally he was asked to move from the place where they were already dwelling. So this was again very bad, but yes, because of this particular law, the people here got the strength. Okay, they got the strength and they decided that yes, we can do something out of this. So that's the reason now they had to face the anger, no doubt. They asked back all their properties, they asked back for whatever they needed. Okay, they said that yes, we need our property back, we need our land back. Okay, so that is what so that is what they did ask for, and they too had to face the anger, no doubt, because powerful caste people, they were dominating on these people. Definitely they would face the problem from their side, right? So these were again faced by those Adivasis, but still they they were totally they were ready to withstand anything. So this is why the act contains a very long list of crimes. So as we have already, as I have told you, even untouchability is considered to be a crime. There are many crimes as such which is listed here. It describes terrible crimes, but also even people know that dreadful deeds human beings are capable of doing. So it is both punishable as well as influence the way we think and act. So the act distinguishes several levels of crimes. That is, the lists are made, modes of humiliation. Definitely, again, humiliating a person is not correct, right? So humiliation, again, see how it is divided. Humiliation, both physically and horrific, and morally reprehensible. So what all things? That is forcing a scheduled caste member or scheduled tribe member to drink and to eat any inedible or obnoxious, very dirty thing or something totally not good or not fit to be eaten. Those things are forced by these people to be eaten. Again, that is punishable in nature. Imagine any scheduled tribe or a scheduled caste person is there, and that person is forced to eat. So that is not acceptable. So like, but not, that is one thing. The second is forcibly, few people were, they were so bad that they used to remove the clothes and make them naked, whosoever it was, whether it was a man or a woman. They would not care about those things, but even they would do these things to make them feel ashamed of what they are. Even this was done. So again, if any person would do this, okay, like commit these like the things, or even few people did painting on their body. Even if they would do all these things, this is considered to be punishable under this particular act. Imagining itself is very bad, right? Like it makes you feel like how people can be that kind of that kind of atrocity. How can they do that, right? Yes. The next one is second part, wherein it disposes Dalits and Adivasis of their meager resources, or which force them into performing slave labor. So no person can be considered as a slave, right? So no person can be considered as a slave, okay, because no doubt, like, forcible labor is again a wrongful act, okay, and no person is slave here. So that's the reason, if the act punishes the person who wrongfully occupies or cultivates any land by or allotted to a member of scheduled caste. See what happens if imagine any land is allotted to any SC/STs. No person should take or get it sold, okay, like, because there are chances that they may, under the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, they may say that it was forcibly taken. This also may happen, but yes, no person also can forcibly grab it from them, because it is a right given to them. Again, that is punishable in nature. At the other level, the act recognizes the crimes against Dalit and tribal women. Okay, like for example, assaults or use of force on any woman belonging to SC or ST with intent to dishonor her. So very recently in UP, one case took place, right? So it was a rape case. So again, you might have come across this. So again, that was very heinous in nature. So again, such things should not be supported. Let us know about manual scavenging. See, it is nothing but literally removing the dirt in the through their hands or maybe the pants or anything, and putting it into the what I can say is a tub or something, and carrying on their head. So the latrines, okay, like what we call toilets, etc., etc. So those this like practice of removing human and animal excreta, okay, using brooms or baskets from dry latrines and carrying these on their heads. So again, imagine how can such things take place, right? No doubt we need a clean environment, but does it mean like we can force any person to do this? Better we have a toilet to be constructed, right, so that people can use it rather than doing all these things. Stop. So that is what has been mentioned. So like when it comes to manual scavengers, they are exposed to subhuman conditions of work and face serious health hazards. Obviously, see, when it comes to SC/STs, especially they are considered to be the workmen of like all this cleaning work and all, is like people are having this mindset. Okay, so that's the reason now even they are getting all the government jobs, and also that even they are fit to work in as a government employee. So this changes you can see, and few things related to scavenging you can just go through in your textbook, because law telling it or explaining it goes very difficult. So here like manual scavengers, it is like totally it is still practiced in different parts of the country, though they have come up with the act, still few people are practicing it. Again, like strictly certain law has to come so that they can stop this permanently. Okay, so yes, so now then the government, if at all that is still existing, then the department has to actively take up a time-bound program for the liberation. Obviously that has to be done by the government itself, and government itself can take all the actions, because it is the government who has to answer all these things. right? Each and everything that takes place in the society, for that government will be asked to answer. Now let us know about the Adivasis demand and even the act, that is 1989 act. See, in this Adivasis are unwilling to move from the place of dwelling. Definitely they have enjoyed the forest, they have been in the open environment, so all of a sudden if anybody comes and encroaches the land and asks you people to move away from that particular place wherein you are dwelling from years together, how the person would feel, right? So they are like forcibly displaced. They are asked to move from that particular place forcibly. So traditionally something which was considered to be theirs, like all the forests, the rivers, the open mountain, etc., which is considered to be theirs, all of a sudden it is considered to be somebody else, like somebody else's property, and the Adivasis are requested, or they are asked, or they are forcibly, if they reject, they are forcibly removed from that particular place, which is again a wrong thing. So in the previous chapter we have already discussed how the Adivasis were removed just for the sake of development, right? For construction of roads, for construction of building, etc. These people were forcibly removed from forest areas and all. So we have come across this. So they have also pointed to the fact that this act merely confirms what has already been promised to tribal people in the constitution. So the constitution has promised, right? It has promised to come up with all these things, like the fact that has been mentioned. So in the constitution you have said you will protect the rights, you will speak about fundamental rights, wherein you say that equally each and every person is treated equally. Then where is equality? So this is what they are asking. And yes, they have pointed to the fact that the land belonging to tribal people cannot be sold or bought to non-tribal people. So it should be within, SC can sell it to another SC or ST, it cannot be taken up by some other person. So constitution guarantees the right of tribal people to repossess their land. So imagine, this is again, few people have misused this, okay? Few of the SC STs, I'm not discriminating, don't take me the other way, but there are cases wherein they have sold to non-tribal people, and later on they have filed a case against under this, saying that a so and so person has encroached it. So again, this certain laws are being misused by people, not everybody, I'm not generalizing, there are few people who have done this. So there is a person who is a Adivasi activist, okay, his name is the Adivasi activist, name is C.K. Janu, and they have pointed out that one of the violators of constitutional rights guaranteed to tribal people are government in the various states of India, for it is they who allow non-tribal encroachers in the form of timber merchants, paper mills, etc. So there are, see, it is not about only single person, there are group of people who are doing this or encroaching the land. So in the process of declaring forests as reserved or as sanctuaries, so it has to be taken up. So she is telling, C.K. Janu is telling that there are many cases wherein tribal peoples are totally dominated, they are forced to give, and these non-tribal people are dominating. So this is what her contention is, and she is asking the government to draw up plans and policies so that the Adivasis rights are protected, they never feel that they are marginalized, and they enjoy the rights and get the protection from the government laws and rules. So large sum of money on building industrial or other projects on lands taken from tribals, so they should be reluctant, nothing but government should take action. Okay, they have to see that they totally protect the interest of these Adivasis. It's not only about the Adivasi, it is about all the marginalized people who feel that they are being treated unequally, they are being marginalized, etc. So it is about each and every person. So as a conclusion, we can say that people have constantly worked on, or they have made efforts to translate these principles. That is the principle, the constitution gives the principle, right? So when constitution is giving principles in relation to the fundamental rights, so what these people are doing, they are taking it as a guide, okay, and the actions of their fellow citizens or even their leaders. So this is what they are doing. And even in democratic society, similar process of struggle, writing, negotiation, and even organizing need to continue. It totally depends upon the government. See, as I have told you, we are depending upon democracy. So when we talk about democracy, we have to see that each and every person's right is protected rather than violating it. No person has got a right to violate other person's rights. So that is the reason when it comes to this particular thing, people are really, they are questioning, or rather they are totally they have lost the patience now, and they are really questioning, they are invoking. Why is that at one particular place you tell about protection and the other part, you really are marginalizing us. So people are treating these people, okay, the backward class people and all, as a vote bank. So stop doing that. So that is what is being asked. Only during votes and all, preference is given to us, but our rights are not protected. So this is what their question is. So dear students, we will discuss about promoting social justice, how the marginalized are getting the reservations, okay, for themselves, so that they can enjoy the education and even the employment thoroughly. And even how the reservation policy works. Are there any particular ways how it has to work and all? So we will discuss about that. Then how the protection, how their rights related to Dalits, or say even the Adivasis, the rights, how they are protected. And we came across an act here, 1989 Act, which is specially done for the protection of the rights. And there are some punishments that has been described under the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act, that is 1989. And we came across manual scavenging and even Adivasis demand related to the 1989 Act. So dear students, with this we have concluded the chapter. Dear students, if you have any doubts, you can contact me. Thank you so much for your patience. Have a great day. Thank you.